Chapter 12. The Boy Spy. As the earth tremors continued, Mapani stopped his chanting and motioned for the others to follow him. Quickly, he led the way into the kitchen and said this was an original Incan building with a modern roof. "We will be safe here, I think," he told them. "The old walls are sturdy." From outside came the cries of people and the sound of objects falling. The girls followed the man's example of sitting cross-legged on the floor. No one spoke. All were too tense to do anything but wait. Then, abruptly, the shaking stopped. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief, and Carla said, "I hope this will not be followed by another quake." Mapani said quietly, "Who knows? But I think it is over." Everyone was eager to go to the street and see what had happened. "Be careful where you step," the Indian warned. Just outside the front door, a boy about 15 years old was lying on the ground, swaying from side to side and mumbling. "You're safe now," Nancy said to him kindly. The boy's eyes were closed, and he paid no attention to her. He kept on muttering the same thing over and over. "What is he saying?" Bess asked the Indian. Mapani looked puzzled. "He is saying, 'Oh, cat, I must stop. The sun god has sent this sign. You say the girl is a spy? No, no, go away, cat. I will do nothing more for you.'" "That's a lot of gibberish," George remarked. "What does he mean?" "I do not know," Mapani replied. He shook the boy, who finally opened his eyes. He looked around dazedly as the Indian helped him to his feet, then questioned him in Quechua. A sudden look of terror came into the youth's eyes. He stared hard at the four girls, gave a little cry as if in pain, and ran off down the street as fast as he could. "Shall we chase him?" George asked. "Yes!" cried Nancy. Instantly, Mapani caught her arm. "No," he said. "The boy has done no harm, and you should not run in this rare atmosphere." "But he may be connected with our mystery," Carla stated. "He mentioned cat. We think this boy may be working for a man who calls himself El Gato," Nancy explained. "He is wanted by your police. He intends to harm us. The boy may report to him where we are and what we're doing." "I am sorry I stopped you," Mapani said. "Now it is too late to find the boy." Nancy asked the Indian if he had ever heard of a sinister character called El Gato. "No, and I did not recognize the boy who mumbled those strange words. I know every Indian in Cuzco," he told the girls. "This boy is a stranger here." "Then," said Carla, "he might have been sent to Cuzco by El Gato." Nancy agreed, but said that perhaps the earthquake had frightened him so much he would not do any more work for El Gato. She explained to Mapani about Carla having received the anonymous note, "Beware of the cat." "That is not good," he said. "You girls take care." The group went back to the house, and once more the Indian looked at the plaque. He studied it for a long time, then finally confessed that he could make nothing out of either side. "I can tell you something, though, which may help you," he said. "When I was a little boy, I heard my great-grandmother tell a story which had been handed down in her family. It might concern your ancestor, Señorita Ponce. The story was about a fine Spanish artist-adventurer who came first to Cuzco and then went to Machu Pichu. He was well received by the people there and enjoyed his work, but after a while they made him a prisoner. We did not hear why." "I do not know how long he was there," Mapani continued, "but it seems that he and an Indian companion escaped. They made their way here. The Indian knew an Inca priest. He secretly befriended them. But when the priest tried to question the Spaniard about why he had been a prisoner, the artist refused to tell anything. Shortly afterward, he and the Indian disappeared. Nothing more was ever heard of them. Years later, when the Inca priest was dying, he confessed to helping the runaways. "Did the story tell what the Spaniard's name was?" Nancy asked. "Aguilar, perhaps?" Mapani shook his head. "The name I heard was not Spanish, but Quechuan. I have even forgotten what that was, but probably a name the Indians gave him." "Why," Carla mused, "would the artist refuse to answer the Cuzco priest who befriended him?" All the girls surmised that it might be because the man had discovered a secret he was afraid to tell, or he was trying to keep some special information to himself until he could contact his family in Lima. "Maybe," Carla said thoughtfully, "this man was Aguilar." "It's quite possible," said Nancy. "After all, there were many adventurers at that time, but my guess is that a European artist in these parts was unusual." Mapani nodded. "You say you think this plaque indicates something valuable, like a treasure? What do you expect to find? Inca gold?" "Who knows?" George replied. "A really fabulous object may be buried somewhere. All we have to do is find the spot." Mapani advised them to spend a day or two at the ruins of Machu Pichu. "What destroyed the city is a great mystery. I guess you know that. Maybe your treasure is buried there." The girls thanked the Indian for his help. Before they left, he asked if he might take them the next day to see the ruins at Sacsayhuaman. "They are just outside of town and are an amazing sight." Sacsayhuaman was originally a fort. The girls said they would like very much to go and would be ready at 10 o'clock. The following morning, Mapani came to their hotel with his car and they started off. When they reached the ruins, the visitors stood in awe. "How magnificent!" Nancy exclaimed, gazing at the high, zigzagging stonework that formed the front of the fortress. Mapani said the wide, three-tiered wall, made entirely of huge limestone boulders, was 60 feet high and 1,800 feet long. Some of these rocks weigh 200 tons and were brought here without the aid of any kind of machinery. Men tumbled them end over end, using strong, slender tree trunks for leverage. "How did the workmen get one rock on top of the other?" Bess asked. Mapani said that great mounds of dirt were piled up, and the stones rolled up them and put into place. Then the mound would be made higher, so the next rock could be raised to position. "It's a fantastic piece of engineering," Nancy remarked. "I'd like to climb up and look around." The others decided to try it also. "Go ahead, but be careful," the Indian warned. "I will wait here." While they had been talking, a car had driven into the far side of the grassy area. It continued in a huge semicircle and stopped near the end of the fortress wall, about 500 feet from the girls. At first they thought there was only the driver, but suddenly a man arose from the rear seat and disappeared behind the last jog of the wall. He was carrying something half under his jacket, as if he were trying to conceal it. "What was he holding?" Carla asked. "It looked like a big can," Nancy replied. The girls hunted for tiny worn places in the rocks as footholds to pull themselves up toward the first level of the fortress. Nancy reached it ahead of the others and hurried along the walkway. Eager to get to the top, she climbed to the second tier and was soon out of sight of the others. "What a place for a siege," Nancy thought, gazing around. Then she walked forward. Near the end of the wall, she started downward in a slanting direction. When she was about 20 feet from the ground, she heard a noise above her. She looked up just in time to glimpse a man's leg disappearing around the adjoining bend in the zigzag wall. Suddenly, Nancy gasped in astonishment. On a large rock above her was the newly painted, crude face of a bright red cat. End of chapter 12.